what the hell is that? She's 18, guys. She has better abs than Coach Greg in his prime. What are the chances that she's actually natty? It's slim to none, but it isn't proof yet. Now is it, guys? I mean, you came to a Coach Greg video because you want proof. Coach Greg, in today's video, we've got a natty or not on an 18-year-old girl who's only been training in the gym for about a year. I received a ton of messages, people saying there's no way that this girl is natural. You got to do a natty or not on her. And Coach Colton has already done this video, and I do believe a lot of people came to my channel after watching hers to see, once and for all, is she in fact natural? As soon as I went on to her page, her name is Joy, she's 18, I said, this girl doesn't look natural at all. Even if she'd been training since birth, since she was in the womb, she still doesn't look natural. And what exactly stands out? Why do I think she looks unnatty? Well, the first reason is her abs. I mean, look at this. The first photo. Like, what the hell is that? She's 18, guys. She has better abs than Coach Greg in his prime. And so clearly this girl is shredded. How is it possible that she put on all of this muscle while getting shredded at the same time? I mean, typically, if you're natural, you could have some size. You could have this much muscle. But could you build this much muscle while cutting? That would be very, very hard, unless, of course, she has 1 in a million genetics. I mean, we've seen videos on guys like Hussein Farhad, who in fact showed me the blood work multiple times, and they end up being natural. And so it's possible, but the chances are probably about 1 in a million. But is she that 1 in a million? Watch an 18-year-old girl bench 200 pounds at 130 pounds body weight. Holy shit, I didn't know she was that strong. Multiple reps with 185 pounds? Are you kidding me? She's benching 185 pounds for reps. She can do 200 pounds and 2 plates. 225 is coming soon. She's an 18-year-old girl. It's not looking very good for her being natural now, is it? Next, she posts true vegan natty. Every time I've seen somebody post that they're a vegan and that they're natural, they're LARPing. They're essentially just joking. It's like rubbing it in our faces. For example, the genetic anomaly, vegan, natty. It's a joke. They're not actually telling us that they're natural, nor that they are vegan. And so, is she hiding in plain sight? Her abs, the smallness of the waist, the conditioning of the delts, the biceps, her back, everything looks stupendous. What a back double bicep. This is a freaking amazing looking physique at any age. If she had said, this is me at 28, and I've been training since I was a teenager, I would still think she's not natural. That is how impressive this actually is. It's really hard to imagine that she's natural at this point. Your reminder to train abs today, well, here's the thing. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. This is purely genetic. She could probably have never done an ab exercise in her life and had better abs than 99.9% of the world. Once the fat comes off of the abs, you're left with what's underneath. You could do sit-ups every day for your entire life, and you're not going to get abs like this unless it's in your genetics. And where's the proof? She's only been training for less than a year. Do you really think that she built her abs from doing a bunch of crunches for a year? If you can build abs like this in a year, natural, then what kind of abs would she have in 10 years enhanced? Does that make sense to you? And so abs are genetic. You don't need to train abs all the time. Of course, you can work out your core if you want to and so on. But if you have a small waist and you have great looking abs, all you need to do is remove the fat and you will be impressed with what's underneath. Elite genetics, 12 months of training, 18-year-old girl. Holy, I'm super tan. And so this is a great point. She has a proper tan, which dramatically improves the look of the physique, and she has exquisite abs. When you have an amazing set of abs and you have a great pump and you take great looking photos in the perfect kind of lighting, your physique is going to look a lot more enhanced than last time. If she were just walking around at the beach without getting a pump, without showing any vascularity, without pulling up the shirt and showing off her abs, many people would say, yeah, that could be natural. But when you deliberately get a pump and show off your physique with the proper tan, you're going to have more suspicion that you're not natural than last time. And so is it possible that this is just good lighting, great angles, camera work, and so on? Well, maybe, or maybe not. 18-year-old with no pump. Well, so much for that theory. She's got no pump, unless she's lying about this. I don't believe that to be true. And she's essentially just flexing her abs. Her arms, they still look huge. Like, she's standing like this. She's got no pump. And she's doing that. And I can see the tricep. She's very, very lean. I can see the delt. The delt has that heart appearance. She spins off to the back. She does the back double bicep. Crazy. She spins to the front. The abs. It's all there. No pump. This is not special lighting. She's in the friggin' bathroom. She's not a Hussein Farhat showing the best angles in the world. She's just sitting there flexing, and she looks this good. She's been training for less than a year. Hussein at least trained for 3 or 4 years. This girl, 1 year. And so if Hussein is 1 in a million, is she 1 in 3 million? This is going to be the telltale sign. What were her starting genetics? Because maybe she was a freak. Some of these girls have been training for a year. They were gymnasts their entire life. Being a gymnast is like training every single day. It's even better than working out. You're specifically pulling your body up. You're doing all kinds of spin. And so let us see her starting point in less than a year. Clearly, this is above average genetics. She looks like she works out a little bit. She's 17. And even without training, there is some muscle there. And she states on this video, don't stay average. This isn't average. This is very impressive. She's in striking distance of if she added, say, 15 pounds of muscle, she would probably have the physique she has right now. And so in the before, she's not showing off her physique to the best of her abilities. If in the before she did one of these and said, check this out, did the whole spin around thing, and flexed and did the bicep pose and all of those things, I believe her physique would be at 99.9%, even without training. Her genetics, to me, are clearly there. Elite level genetics, the kind of genetics that one day we could see with a pro card. And the next, she's on the beach. And when you do look at her physique, you can see that she tends to lose body fat from her abs first. If you examine her top half in comparison to her lower half, the abs, the back, she carries her fat in her legs and her hips. Not that she's fat, she has a little bit more. But she's leaner in her upper body than in her lower body, and that gives the illusion of having more muscle because she's more shredded. The more shredded you are with your shirt off, the more you have like a sleeper build. When fully dressed in a jacket, you probably couldn't even tell this girl works out. But once you see the shirt come off, you can see the abs with the vascularity running along right here. And her legs, although well developed, they're not shredded. For example, if she were to compete in, let's call it figure, if she were to go on stage figure, stand like this, the whole thing, flexing around, she would actually need to lose a fair little bit of weight. Her legs are not contest ready. Her upper body, it actually is. And so her body fat is probably higher than you think. Her genetics are perfect for the Instagram, for the gram, if you will. The upper body is shredded. She has crazy looking abs. She has a proper tan. And her legs are a little bit more thick. And so, for example, Precious, the girl who's tracking all the macros, who's giving us advice on how to lose weight, her physique is just peeled. She's lean. This other girl is peeled. This looks healthy, sustainable. Although it's on the low side, I don't believe she would have lost her period and so on. And so she can continue to hold this. The other girl, it is too much. Perhaps for show day, it's impressive, but this, more realistic. Whoa. Average 18-year-old girl benches 200 pounds at 130. Already, that's over 1.5 times her body weight, but I'm seeing her putting something in her mouth. what were those pills? Vitamin D3 for gains. The last time I seen somebody talk about vitamins, they were popping Anavar. And so is vitamin D3 code for Anavar? A green fluid and a dropper vial. That is not a typical supplement. I mean, I would have assumed that she was taking Turk Builder Max or perhaps Geo2 Max. To me, that would make sense. And then, of course, she's dry scooping, and rather than taking the Blue Lobster, perhaps she's on Eric Janicki's pre-workout. I do not know. It's green. Did she put Janicki's juice inside of a vial and shake it up and take that as a supplement? Girl, what was that stuff? Vitamin D3 and pre-workout. Well, I mean, it's a pill, a white pill. You can't tell if that's Anavar or Winstrol or D-Ball. It could be anything whatsoever. I'm very suspicious right now. I hadn't seen this before. And so you've been following her around right now, but eventually I have to make a determination, a conclusion, if you will. And so let us now add in the conversation I had with Joy. I mean, if you want me to do a natty or not on someone, don't you think I should ask the person? Like, talk to them and see? Let us now see what she has said. Hey, Greg, hope you're doing well. I've taken a blood test recently, but everybody has said that it doesn't prove anything. I don't know much about anabolics or how it works with your blood work, and I'm a bit nervous of getting it done again because I ended up passing out and hitting my lip and it left a big scar. That's a little sus. A lot of people are scared of donating blood or of having needles, all that kind of thing. And it's common for people to pass out, more common than you think. And so they have precautions. They don't just allow you to go around and fall, because you could sue these companies for a lot of money. It's their responsibility to make sure that you don't get hurt. But she says, I would be open for you making a video anyways. I think any exposure is good exposure. I'm located in Canada, unfortunately. And so I'm also from Canada. And the reason I had asked was because she could have gotten her blood work from Algo RX. I was going to get it to her for free to make this video, but she cannot get it. She's in Canada. Remember, if you want to go to Algo RX, if you want to get your blood work done, or if you want to purchase various peptides and clomiphene, tadalafil, Cialis, the list goes on and on. You could get sermorelin, you could get dutasteride, finasteride, Viagra. There's so many things you could get, all FDA approved, of course. I mean, you don't want to get a GLP to lose weight. All of it is Algorex Code Gray. That green fluid that she has, I've seen other people do this, and it most likely is Cialis. Cialis, it gets you bigger pumps, you have more vascularity, and it can, in fact, improve your performance. I know it can. I use Cialis. It's still approved. It's not banned by WADA. And so if it is, in fact, Cialis, she is, in fact, natural. Now, if it is vitamin D3, of which I don't believe it's vitamin D3, I think it's Anavar. She said she was a huge fan of the Tren twins. The Tren twins, I do believe they've used Tren, that they are open about using steroids. And so if she's a huge fan of men using steroids, is it not more likely that she would also use steroids? She says, haha, I'm actually watching the one on Adam Yu right now. I'm pretty close with his girlfriend, Natalie. So I had to start with that one. Adam Yu, I met, and he's no longer natural. He admits to being on performance-enhancing drugs. Also, in videos, he says he's on vitamin D3, but it actually refers to being Anavar. She's friends with the girlfriend. I also don't believe that his girlfriend is natural because her boyfriend isn't natural. And it's very likely when one partner or boyfriend is using steroids that the other can be influenced to do so. It's kind of by association. You are most likely going to be like your 5 closest friends. And so if one of her girlfriends is not natty and she's friends with them and she sees the gains that they're making, isn't it likely for her to do the same thing? What do you think is more likely? That she's 1 in 3 million who's actually taking vitamin D3 before going to the gym, also taking Cialis. And so if you're taking Cialis, you're already open to taking substances. You can't just get Cialis at any store. You can get it at Algorex, but places that sell Cialis also oftentimes sell performance-enhancing drugs. For example, at Algorex, they sell enclomiphene. Oh, clomiphene isn't natural. It's FDA approved, but it isn't natty. And so if she's a fan of the Trend Twins and good friends with Natalie, who's the girlfriend of Adam Yu, and she's showing her taking vitamin D3, as well as taking Cialis, what are the chances that she's actually natty? It's slim to none, but it isn't proof yet. Now is it, guys? I mean, you came to a Coach Greg video because you want proof. When I looked at the blood work and I went over the blood work, there's nothing indicative of somebody who's actually taking performance-enhancing drugs. Based on the blood work alone, if I got that blood work from someone else, I would have said, I think that she's natural. There's something a little sus about the blood work. There are no dates. Now, if she's been training for a year and the blood work was taken 3 months ago, then she could easily have taken the blood work when she was natural, then used Anavar, and passed the blood work. The blood work is only going to look off if you're taking those substances before the blood work. If you decide when you get the blood work done, you could take it when you are natural. I mean, if Hussein Farhat had just sent me random blood work at any time whatsoever, I'd have said, but bro, you probably just sent this from last year. You're probably off cycle then. And so you could have passed the blood work. But if you can pass it right now on no notice whatsoever. So for example, if she had been able to give me blood work right now, looking as she does now, very likely to be natural with blood work like that. But without a date, we don't know when it was taken. And so unfortunately, the blood work, it isn't useful in this case. If she is on Anavar instead of vitamin D3, the blood work, it's going to look a little bit different. Her blood work is all normal. There would be things out of range. ALT, AST, it's not going to be normal. But even that, it isn't proof. We still don't know, but here is your proof. I saved the best for last. She writes, also, I don't think I consider myself natty. Haha, I do take peptides, and I'm super open about it. I started taking them about a month ago, and I take GHKCU. Guys, I take GHKCU. It's for your nails, your hair. This isn't a banned peptide. It doesn't mean anything. That would not revoke your natty card. And also CJC 1295 and ipamorelin and some recovery pep with GABA. Okay, CJC 1295 as well as ipamorelin are going to increase your growth hormone and IGF-1 levels and are banned by WADA. And so if you take those peptides, you cannot compete in drug-tested bodybuilding and or Olympic sporting competition. And so she officially is not natty. Now, she could consider herself to be half natty if she's only taking peptides. Some of you are going to say, it doesn't count. It's just a peptide. What could it actually do? She says, if I were to say I'm natty about peptides, it's too controversial at this point. She doesn't care. She's open about it. She's not natural. You can say she's half natty if you want, but she clearly isn't natural. She cannot compete in natural drug-tested powerlifting nor bodybuilding, of which I think she would win both. How effective is ipamorelin and CJC 1295? Honestly, it isn't enough to make the transformation that she made right now. If you as a natural take it, you could expect to gain in a year probably 2 to 4 pounds of added muscle. It's definitely beneficial. It's definitely useful. I'm not saying that you should do it, but it isn't going to give you the kind of transformation that you're seeing right here. Like, it isn't Anavar. In comparison, Anavar, it's way stronger. But if you use Anavar and this at the same time, or perhaps cycling from one or the other, you could make those gains if you have amazing genetics. Even with VAR and peptides combined, the transformation that she made in under a year, it's still top tier. I don't know how to express how rare this actually is. She does have a 1 in a million physique. Even though she's not natty, it is still very impressive. I just have really good back and abdominal genetics, but I've been told many times that I'm an industry plant. I don't understand. You guys think she's an industry plant? Like, do you think I'm an industry plant? Like, an industry plant She has really good ab and back genetics, and what she means by that is she's peeled in her abs and her back. And so by having very low amounts of body fat, it makes her look more enhanced. Now, I don't believe that she's natural. I do, in fact, believe that she's taken VAR. This is what I actually think is going on. I think that she's taken Anavar on its own, and then she stopped taking Anavar and swapped it over to Ipamorelin and CJC 1295. You can't take VAR forever. If you do, you're definitely going to see some changes. Your vocal cords, you're going to sound more manly, raspy, if you will. And it isn't good for your blood work. It isn't good for your insides. And so if you swap out the Anavar, take a break from those androgens, and use CJC 1295 and Ipamorelin, those aren't going to change your vocal cords. And so you could take those peptides without growing a beard, without, for example, losing your hair. And so many people swap from the peptides to the steroids back and forth, and it minimizes the virilization. Now, I'm not saying that this is safe. I'm not saying that you can do this back and forth forever, but eventually you will experience side effects, especially when taking higher doses. Hopefully, her doses are very low. And what would be low? Anavar at 10 milligrams a day, eventually likely going to cause side effects. At 5 milligrams a day, you might be safe for some people. Some people are not going to. It really depends on your genetics. Some people can use higher doses and they don't really experience anything. Some people use low doses and they do experience things. And so you're essentially playing Russian roulette with your health. I do believe she's going to sign with Feral Supplements. I would have loved her to be on the team HDLT, and she could have used Turk Builder Max, GO2 Max, and put on muscle and had less risk of virilization. But of course, she could still go to Feral and use HDLT supplements in secret. Remember, for women, it works better than in men. And so if you're a woman and you don't want to turn into a man, if you use Turk Builder Max or Turk Platinum, GO2 Max, you can use lower doses of androgens and still build the same amount of muscle. And so you have less exposure to these dangerous compounds, these PEDs. You can hate me if you will. You can call me a misogynist, a short man syndrome, a hobbit, if you will, a douche or a douchebag. You can call me all of those things. But if I can decrease your exposure to androgens, if I can decrease your risk of abusing recreational drugs, those things are important. They're important to me, and they should be important to you. And so if you don't want to virilize, if you want to be healthier than last time, please consider HDLT supplements. You can use code Greg. If you are using performance-enhancing drugs, or even if you're not, go to AlgoRx, get your blood work done. You can purchase FDA-approved medications. Remember, everything is above board. They're from compounding pharmacies prescribed by doctors, not some research chemical bullshit. This is not something that Mr. Mike promotes. It's a peptide company that is legit. They do not sell Retta. Retta is an experimental drug. It's in phase 3 trials. You can't just think you can use all of these things with no risk to your health. It hasn't been approved yet. AlgoRx does not sell things that are not approved. They don't even sell BPC 157, guys. But everything they do sell is FDA approved, above board, and guaranteed to be exactly what they are. And so if you're interested, code Greg for your discount. Go and check out Joy. She has an incredible physique. She is open about most things. I mean, I do think she's taking Anavar, and so perhaps she's not open about that. I don't know if she wants to admit to taking that. Maybe she isn't even taking that. It's my opinion. It's my belief based on my Sherlock Holmes brain that's going on. But take it for what it's worth. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo. Of course, watch one of those 2 bloops. And if you want to get coached by me, or if you want to sell these amazing supplements in your store, or if you want to have a sponsorship, or if you want to become an ambassador, the links are there. Click on them. And until next time, je suis parti.